good evening and welcome to the Internet Citadel Show. We are so excited to have you tonight. I would like to introduce my friend, my business partner, a guy who has been a software engineer for over 23 years. He is the creator of Tweet Performance. He is also working on another program that has to do with vital business tools for your internet business. Brian is a man of integrity, of character, a guy that I enjoy sharing this show with each week, the co-creator and my co-host, Brian Kelly. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Very, very excited about what we have going on for tonight's show. We have a phenomenal guest with us today. In previous shows, we have covered other social media outlets, Twitter, Facebook, and then tonight, LinkedIn. But before we jump into that, I'd like to reciprocate and introduce Kathy, a very, very dear friend of mine. And she talks about integrity with me. I don't hold a candle to her when it comes to integrity. That's why we are business partners, because we have this mutual respect and friendship going forward. And not to mention, she is extremely, extremely talented. She's been an operation and sales manager for over 25 years with a Fortune 500 company. She has extensive network marketing experience dating back to the mid-'80s. And also, probably one of her biggest strengths is she has been working in affiliate marketing since the early 90s. And as I always say, I affectionately call her the queen of affiliate marketing. So with that, I'd like to give it back to you, Kathy, and let's get this thing going with our great special guest.
You always just give me such wonderful accolades, Brian. Thank you so very much. You know what? I've got to put my little vain cheaters on here because I got to look at what I've got to read. So what I want to tell you about our guest tonight is Alan has 11 years of SEO and SEM and web development experience. Brian and I actually had the opportunity to meet Alan right after our last show. He contacted us and shared what he has to share that we want to share with you tonight. So that's how we got to know him. Wow, I'm getting tongue-tied here. Sorry about that. He is an accomplished writer. He's published articles in newspapers and magazines, the New York Times, Simpatico's Net Life, Website Directory, Toronto Business Journal. I could go on and on. It's absolutely amazing. In addition to that, he has been interviewed on SEO Radio, Web Media, CBS Radio. So we're very, very excited to have him here tonight. And I also want to throw in that Alan is a graduate from Dalhousie University and holds a BSc in physics. And he is our LinkedIn expert tonight. I would like to welcome Alan Pollitt. Hi, Alan.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you on tonight, and we're excited to hear about the things that you're going to share with us tonight about LinkedIn. So, Brian, take it away.
Alan, LinkedIn is something relatively new to me personally. I mean, I've been part of LinkedIn or a member of LinkedIn for a considerable amount of time, but I really haven't spent the time to dive into it. And as I kind of preluded to in the beginning of the show, we've already covered on past shows Twitter and Facebook, two phenomenal vehicles for marketing a business and networking and making fantastic connections for anyone's business. And when you contacted us regarding your background in LinkedIn, our excitement meters were pegged. I mean, we just got really excited. We were very pleased that you had reached out to touch us and that we were able to get to know you. Regarding LinkedIn as it is compared to the other two major social media mediums, how important would you say LinkedIn is on that social media scene and why?
Okay, well, you're both Twitter experts. Twitter has about 15 million people that use it. Well, LinkedIn has 50 million. It's just so much larger than Twitter. The cool thing about LinkedIn is it's not just a bunch of people there that are opening up a whole bunch of accounts that they never use again. It's people that are active and they're high up in whatever companies that they're involved with. There's a lot of headhunters there. There's a lot of people executives. It's just the quality, the caliber of the people on LinkedIn is just incredible. It's much, much higher than any other social media out there.
Interesting. Now,
I'm sorry,
I can see that they're, and now that, since we got to know you just briefly, I mean, we're talking less than a week now, or right about a week. Kathy and I have frantically been, updating our profiles and researching LinkedIn so we could, somewhat intelligently, bring this interview to our viewers. But I found in just a short period of time, it is truly a powerful vehicle because virtually everybody on LinkedIn is there for a business reason. There's an underlying business reason. With Twitter, that is a different type of mentality that goes with the users. There are business people on Twitter, but there are also those that are there just to mingle and be social amongst other individuals. Same thing with Facebook, much more on a personal level. And what I noticed with LinkedIn, it's just a big, large group of professionals in some way, shape, or form that are all there to connect with each other and network. And in fact, I already made a connection with a gentleman just by posting a comment on a group. They were asking about Twitter, social media, and how it could affect your business. I issued a comment, and the gentleman called me today as a result of that comment, and we may actually end up doing a joint venture or some business in the future. Kathy, I didn't even tell you about him because it had happened late this afternoon, but I tell Kathy virtually everything. But LinkedIn is actually, so far, for me personally, very fabulous and powerful. So, Kathy, this is kind of your deal. You brought the connection to this show. I'd like you to take over and let's see what Alan has for us here. He's been doing a lot of homework, and he's very well versed in LinkedIn, and I think this is going to be valuable information for the show.
Well, I've got to tell you one thing from my standpoint. I kept saying LinkedIn and finally looked at it and saw that it said LinkedIn, and now it makes a lot more sense. But one thing that I want to talk about and that Alan has shared with us over the past few days is the importance of finishing your profile. Now, something that I noticed by kind of going through LinkedIn, Alan, was that there was a lot of people with unfinished profiles, and you did let us know that that was extremely important. So why is that?
The way it works is with LinkedIn, you have to get at least 80% of your profile complete. But once you get to that 80% level, you can search for connections, and you can actually establish connections much easier. The importance of connecting with people on LinkedIn is it's like creating a group of people who you can do business with. Unlike Twitter, where you have a following of 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 or 20,000 people, one person on LinkedIn, you get all their connections that you can contact and do business with. It's so powerful. So, for example, having just 10 connections, if you connect to somebody that has 1,000 connections, all of a sudden you have 1,000 connections because they're within your second level of connections. And those 1,000 connections can connect out to 1 million people. So you, in a way, can all of a sudden search for up to several million people just by having a few connections on LinkedIn. For example,
how do you connect with people?
One of the best ways is just, as Brian mentioned, to join groups. The groups are very active on LinkedIn. The people that are people like to ask questions, and they usually ask business-related questions. So if you interact with those people, they're very responsive. It's sort of like Twitter, where you tweet a question and you're waiting for some kind of response. Well, with LinkedIn, you get a response. And the response is, it can be sometimes business contacts, people connecting to do business with you, or sometimes it's people helping your business, or sometimes it's people just wanting to connect with you so that they can share in your network of people that you've created.
Now, let me ask you this. Of course, I know now because you've shared with us the importance of being involved in groups. And I, like Brian, can tell you the groups are absolutely responsive. And it's kind of nice because it's a different kind of dialogue and connection with the people through LinkedIn that I've experienced in some other social media sites. So we now know, because of your help, how to get involved with a group. What can you share with us and the people that are watching about getting involved with groups? How do you approach that?
What I do is when I look for groups, I look for groups that are related to what I'm interested in. For example, SEO or Twitter or social media or LinkedIn. There's actually LinkedIn groups about LinkedIn. And there's also groups that their whole purpose of the group is to make connections. So they're actually people that are into a business that want to find other business contacts. So just by joining that group, you can actually build your contact list very quickly and very powerfully, because they have their networks of contacts. I've met people with several thousand contacts, and I get all their contacts. So it's quite powerful in that respect.
Now, you talked
Well,
about
something else that I came across, and I think, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
no, you talked about several thousand
Brian.
contacts, and for many of us who use Twitter, that may not sound a lot, like a lot. I have over 50,000 on actually 2 accounts, and a lot on several others. I don't want to go into all those details, but for those of us who are more Twitter savvy than LinkedIn savvy, what would be the comparison, say, of we have 1,000 LinkedIn followers? Are those of equal or lesser or greater value, in your opinion, than, say, 10,000 Twitter followers, or let's say the equal, 1,000 to 1,000? How would they measure up? How would they compare?
I would say one person on one LinkedIn connection is equivalent to maybe 5 to 10 or maybe even 100 Twitter connections. Because the thing with Twitter, just like you, I have like 10 Twitter accounts, and there's people out there that have 100 Twitter accounts. But with LinkedIn, every account is a real person. It's not like you can have hundreds of LinkedIn accounts. So just that alone makes it more valuable. And generally, the people you're contacting to a real person. You're not just connecting with Twitter. It's just some name that they made up. But with LinkedIn, it's a real name. It's a real person that you're connecting to. So it's much more valuable. Makes sense?
Absolutely, and that's a huge that's a huge number, and I hope people watching this really take that to heart, because just in the limited research I have done on LinkedIn, I'm seeing exactly what you are saying, Alan, that I don't go backing into LinkedIn if I'm gonna, like on Twitter, if I tweet something, I kind of sort of expect to get bombarded with marketing Twitter bursts, bursts of people saying, hey, come look at my thing, go buy my thing, go, look at my video, go purchase my thing. But with LinkedIn, it's not that way at all. What I noticed on the groups specifically, people look like they are genuinely trying to help each other, and the reason they're doing that is to make a actual business connection, a bona fide, real, and valuable business connection. I'm not saying or trying to devalue Twitter in any way. I'm just saying they are very different as far as, just like you said, Alan, that the client base is quite different, and their reason for being there is quite different, and it gave me an increased level of comfort in freely discussing or going back and forth with groups, and in freely giving away my phone number to the first guy who tried to contact me and asked if he could call me. I really, on Twitter, I would normally not do that right away. With LinkedIn, it took me 5 minutes. I said, yeah, this guy, he's a legit. You can see his profile, his whole history of, what he put on his profile is like a resume. A lot of people put resumes on there. It's very powerful.
The way I compare Twitter and LinkedIn is, I see Twitter as sort of like a rock concert. You get hundreds of thousands of people there. They're all crazy and wild. With LinkedIn, it's more like a small. It's more of a small social gathering with people just trying to share business contacts. They're trying to build businesses and business relationships. So you get a much more intimate connection with LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's like on
We
Twitter.
know something else that.
Well, it's just like on
Sorry,
Twitter.
guys.
You're in the main ballroom or big party room, But if we were with LinkedIn, you're up in the exclusive, club room upstairs on the 8th or 10th
The
floor.
VIP lounge.
With the wine and cheese, and it's very quiet and more subdued. But it's people getting down to business, being friendly, being sociable. It's just different, like you're saying, Ellen. I'm sorry, Kathy. I keep stepping on you. Go ahead.
No. Well, I do that too, but my brain's like, oh, one thing, and this is again from Alan pointing this out over the past few days, you can search in LinkedIn for niche markets and for specific business types, correct, Alan? I mean, you showed me that. I could not believe it. It's like if you want to look for bridal people, you can look for bridal people. If you want to find Twitter people or SEO people, on and on and on. It's just absolutely web development, software engineers. It's absolutely amazing. And again, just in the groups that we've signed up with and been involved with over the past several days, it's just a different field, but everybody is so responsive and they like questions and they like to help.
One thing that I like about LinkedIn is the search bar on LinkedIn is very useful. You can search by group, you can search by people, you can search by job. So job searching on LinkedIn is very important. There's a kind of a cool fact that I recently heard about LinkedIn, that 80% of job placement now is happening through LinkedIn.
Wow.
That recruiters are actually using LinkedIn as their tool of choice to find people to place the jobs.
Interesting you bring that
That
up.
right there is a tip for people watching out
Yes. And actually,
So
interesting you brought that
things-
up, because I've seen many of those types of posts in a group where actually the company was putting out, I guess they're called posts in LinkedIn. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know what they're called on LinkedIn, but they put out a post in a group, and they put out several posts for engineers, different flavors of personnel they're looking for multiple times. So my alert meter went off and thought, my gosh, monster.com, look, move over, because LinkedIn, you combine social media with professional outlets. That's
Right.
powerful. 80%. That's quite alarming and interesting.
Yeah. One of the cool thing is you can actually, because they're using for jobs, you don't place that field. The way the profile is designed, it's your resume.
Have your resume there for them to see all the time. If you have connections, even up to third level connections with people, you can basically end up in their search. So they might find you based on your profile, which is really great. So
Wow.
they, without even posting the job, they can find you for the job. For example, I usually get about one job offer per day from LinkedIn.
Wow.
It kind of bothers me because actually I have to turn down $100,000 a day, which is it's a bit much. But I
Well,
do
you
have
just need to
turn
be
down-
20 more people, that's all.
Yeah. It's just
It's a
Well, something that I want to ask you that some of the people watching might have a question. You talk about first level and second level and third level. If you can explain to us
good question.
what that means, first, second, and third,
okay.
and
For
why it's
example,
important, or what the importance.
Sure. First level connections are direct links to you, so people you know. Those people that you know, they know people, and sometimes you don't know those people. So those people that they know directly are their first connections, but your second connections.
Got it.
Okay?
So,
And those-
in other words, you, Brian, and I are first
We're all-
level connection.
First level connections.
Correct?
Yes.
So then we move from the three of us are first. So that's pretty powerful because we're connected with each other, and that can help us how when we move down to like second and third.
Okay, so now there's people that both of you know that I don't know.
Right.
Right. And those people are my second level connections. Okay?
Okay.
And
Okay.
those second level connections, they all know some people that you guys don't know and that I don't know. And those become my third level connections.
How deep does it
Okay.
go?
But
Okay.
it only goes to third level.
Okay. That's still quite
But
a
with
bit.
third level, it's but third level you can get a lot of connections. For example, I have 1,000 connections, first level connections, but as a result, I have access to almost all of LinkedIn. So pretty much
Now,
everyone on LinkedIn
how is that?
connected
How is
to me.
that possible?
It's just that
How does that, I
know
mean,
the
how
right
is that
people.
possible? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, maybe how do you
It's-
actually connect? You know, what vehicle or what mechanism can you use to actually connect with somebody, say on your third level? Is that what you meant, Kathy? Like, how do you connect people?
Well, if he's got
Contact.
1,000 connections, what he said was he virtually is connected to all of Twitter's, or excuse me, to LinkedIn. So how does he do that? I mean, how are
Well,
you
the way-
connected to that many more?
Well, the way it works is, let's say that there's 1,000 first level connections,
Uh-huh.
and then 1,000 second level connections. So 1,000,000 second level connections. If 1,000
Wow.
times 1,000, and
Sure.
then in theory you could have 1,000 times 1,000, which is 1,000,000,000, that it could connect out to if everyone had 1,000 connections, just by having 3 levels.
Let me ask
It's
you
like
this.
a giant pyramid scheme.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of sort of like network marketing, but I don't want to. Network marketing has a bad connotation in
No.
the industry. Unfortunately, I think it's a very good business model, but it's kind of like that as far as the organizational structure. A 3-level deep kind of network marketing company that costs you 0. But yeah, you mentioned 1,000. Now I'm guessing that's just an example. Is there a limit to the number you can have on your first level of connections?
No, there's no limits.
Wow.
Which is really nice.
Wow.
Yeah, you can just build it up and go crazy
Hey,
with
wow.
it. Yeah, that is kind of nice. I think with Facebook, for example, you can only have 5,000.
5,000.
Isn't it?
That's right. On your personal
Yeah.
page, if you create a fan page, it's unlimited. But you're right. On the personal page, it's about 5,000.
So with LinkedIn, you can just go wild with it. But you don't
So-
even need that many first level connections. That's the cool thing, because as I said, third level, by the time you get to the third level, you're pretty much connected to everybody.
Wow.
Now, by having the connections with all of these people, obviously you're not going to have everything in common with them, or do you, because you search them out to have the same kind of connection with them? In other words, it can be varied, correct? It may not be just in one particular niche job or niche business or whatever.
Yeah, usually what you're doing is you're joining groups where it's people that are interested in business. So something semi-related, or potentially they could be clients, or give you something where you can actually be a client to them. There is usually some kind of business exchange that you're going to be doing with these people.
Well, something that I just discovered like a couple of weeks ago is that within our LinkedIn page, we can actually connect our Twitter. So when we are tweeting on Twitter or in TweetDeck, it will show up on our LinkedIn page, and you can also tweet in LinkedIn on your Twitter within LinkedIn, and it goes back to your Twitter page. So I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool.
That's one really great thing. Actually, what's really cool about that is use the in command on in hashtag on Twitter to do that. But the cool thing about it is all of your first level connections see your status updates. So you can sort of keep on pitching yourself to your group of first level connections, which is really nice. If you imagine it also that people that are looking at their profiles, they'll also see your status updates too. So that's another cool thing.
Wow.
Your status updates appear on other people's profiles, which is really
Well,
sweet.
let me just back us up just a little bit here. You mentioned something about in hashtags. There may be some people that are watching that do not understand what that means. Alan, can you explain that so people will know?
So you can do it 2 ways. You can actually have it so that it automatically feeds from your Twitter account to your LinkedIn. Or if you don't like that, where you don't want every tweet that you post to appear on your LinkedIn, you can use a hashtag, which is the number 3 key, the symbol above number 3.
Yeah.
And you can put in that hashtag, the number symbol plus IN, and then whatever your tweet is, and then it'll automatically go to your LinkedIn account.
Perfect. I appreciate that because there may be some people out there that don't know what that is. So
Hey, you said a key
Yeah, that's
word,
great.
a key word that really caught my attention there, Alan. That was pitch. You said you could pitch yourself to all of your connections. Now, I wanted to kind of focus on that for just a second because everyone who's more apt with Twitter or Facebook are now trembling and biting their nails and out of excitement thinking, oh my gosh, I have all this whole new social media area I can go pitch my wares to. What advice would you give to somebody somewhat new going into LinkedIn as far as what they actually write about and what they quote unquote pitch? Because as we've already been talking about, we've seen a different kind of theme going on through everyone who collaborates through LinkedIn. What would you tell a newbie, so to speak, that came onto LinkedIn regarding that?
Well, be careful what you pitch, because if you think about it, it's more of like a living resume, and you're really trying to build up your resume, make yourself look good. So if you start pitching like like tweets where I'm drinking a cup of coffee or I'm hanging out with my friends, it might not go over so well on LinkedIn. So be careful what you do in your status updates. But with that said, you can really promote yourself and show that you're an expert in your field, and really talk about your field. So, as long as you do it on a legitimate basis, then you can do quite well with it.
So it would be okay then to, to discuss a product that you found that happens to be in your niche that you're an expert of, that you think highly of, and has an affiliate tag to it or an affiliate URL. Would that be something that would be considered okay on LinkedIn and not frowned upon, or have you gone down that path yet?
I've actually tested it out a few times, but I think you can get away with it because if you're showing it, you're recommending it, so people will take it that way. As long as it's a reasonable product, I think people will actually see it as a valuable thing that you shared that with them.
Excellent.
there absolutely is LinkedIn etiquette, though.
There is. That's a perfect word for it.
There is, yeah.
Etiquette.
Yeah, there's etiquette with all the social media, right?
Well,
Just in different realms, I think.
Now, there's one. Twitter and Facebook can either suspend or terminate your accounts. Have you heard or seen that happen anywhere in LinkedIn? Do they have the same
that's
ability?
a good one.
Do they have that same ability? And if so, who's mechanizing it? In other words, Twitter, any individual can reach out and click a button, which I hate this feature, but I'm not going to go into this, but they can click a button and call you a spammer. Just by clicking a button. And It could just be, I don't like what you tweeted about. It has nothing to do with the fact that, well, they followed you, and if they hadn't followed you, they wouldn't have seen it to begin with. And all they have to do is unfollow you instead of click spam. But I won't go down that path like I said earlier. Is there a way for LinkedIn, the LinkedIn community itself, to report, I guess, other LinkedIn members? I hope not, because then you could have your own competition continually reporting against you just to get you wiped off and not have competition anymore, if you understand what I mean. So how does LinkedIn, do you know if, do they allow that to happen, or do they just take care of it from a corporate standpoint, or they just kind of let people be professionals and continue on their merry way?
I guess the merry way answer.
Okay.
But the thing with LinkedIn, it's a bit different setup. With Twitter, you can set up as many accounts as you want and very easily. With LinkedIn, it's a much more difficult process. In order to get to that, remember I told you had to get to that 80% completion? Well, you have to post your resume. You have to have some real credentials behind you first. And also you need to have some recommendations. So if people aren't even, like if you come across as a spammer, nobody's going to recommend you. So you'll never get to that stage where you can spam.
Good point.
LinkedIn it's just a different attitude. It's so controlled that you can't really do the spam the way you can with Twitter. The only thing that really has changed recently, within the last few months, is that status update being connected to Twitter.
Yeah.
That's a major change, and I don't know if they have worked out all the potential problems with that. but that's the only thing where there's a potential for spam.
Well, another kind of cool thing that I found within LinkedIn, I linked my blog in there as well. So that's on my profile. When you go in there, you can see it and read and see if I've made any blog updates for the day. And there are other really cool widgets and goodies that I've been, kind of been finding here over the past few days as well. So I'm looking forward to spending more time in there and adding some additional things. But something that you brought up, Alan, was recommendations. And recommendations are very powerful as well, correct? So how does that process work?
Well, the way it works is there's two sides to that coin. One, you can recommend other people, and you can be recommended. So the funny thing is both benefit you, which is kind of interesting. By recommending other people, you actually appear in their resume as a recommendation. So people will end up finding you from somebody else's profile, which is kind of a nice. It's basically your testimonial for that person. Now, the benefit of being recommended is the same. That it makes you look more legitimate and more like an expert in whatever field that you're trying to be an expert in. So recommendations are good both ways. Also, it's a really great way to get in contact with people because, how nice would it be, to have somebody contact you and say, oh, I'm going to recommend you because I think you're really great. What kind of response would you get from that? You're going to get a very positive response. So it's a really great way to reaching out and connecting with people.
And another great built-in protection mechanism I noticed, because I actually did this, Kathy and I did it back and forth. I've actually done it with a few other colleagues that I've known in the past. But one of the things, let's say Kathy goes and recommends me, I get notification of that occurring. It doesn't go on my resume until I accept it. So I can actually deny that from going through, which is great because I can already sense the marketers out there on the show that are watching this live or recorded going, oh my gosh, all I have to do is go farming.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm going to go farming for the people with the most connections on LinkedIn and start recommending, or I'm going to recommend them once. Just start hitting everybody up that they can. If the other person doesn't know you or it's not legitimate, it's not genuine. If you recommend somebody and you don't even know them or you've never even conversed before, they can just simply say deny request, and that never shows up on their resume. So that's a great little built-in accountability feature, if you will. So that keeps the LinkedIn police don't even need to exist because the system itself takes care of all this. It's truly a remarkable way they've set this up. I'm really getting more and more intrigued as we go on and learn more. And Alan, you are the reason we're learning all this, and it's phenomenal information.
And the other thing that I found out is you can't just go in and connect with somebody. Alan, you have to know them, right? You have to have their email address to make that connection, correct?
Yeah, actually, there's one thing you can do to avoid that, but you actually have to be connected to somebody that they're connected to. So you can actually.
So in some way, there's.
Yeah, there's some connection usually.
Interesting.
What you do is you can ask to be introduced to people. It's like sort of like you go to a party and you see a pretty girl over there and you want, hey, can you introduce me to her? So it's the same kind of idea. You want to get introduced to a lot of people, and that's where you really use your first level connections to make greater connections. Just back to the recommendation thing. One great thing about the recommendation is you can actually deny it, but not completely deny it, and say, hey, can you mention some more things? You can actually tell them to tailor the recommendation a bit better for you, which is I thought is another nice thing about the recommendations. So you don't have to deny them completely. You can just tell them, hey, say this other stuff about me. I want you to pitch me a little bit better.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's incredible.
Well, the other thing that I noticed, and Brian, I'm sure because you've been posting and asking and answering questions within some of the groups that we've joined, after you've made a post in the group, and you've actually posted it, it gives you a time limit to go back in and make any kind of changes, adjustments or whatever. So that's nice. I actually had that happen the other day. I put something in and I noticed that a word was misspelled, and I thought, oh, that's great. So I, went back in there and made the change really quick. In other social media that we're involved in, once you put it out there, that's it. You can't change anything. So I thought that was a really nice feature.
Yeah, same with email. I noticed after I sent out an email to our list, I had 3 misspellings, and I'm usually really anal about spelling everything. I was like, I couldn't take it back. I didn't have 15 minutes to withdraw or change it. So it is a nice feature. I saw that too, Kathy. I'm glad you brought that up. So it's see how you can just feel the air of professionalism built into this whole social community that LinkedIn has. They're brilliant by doing this, and I'm sure they started out with some different version and have improved over time, but I'm very impressed with it. I'm going to be using it extensively, quite a bit more than I had before, which was about this much, 0. And all thanks to Alan, because this. Oh, by the way, before we forget, be sure to click on Alan's nose over here up to the upper left. If you are on internetcitadel.com, click right on his nose and you will go to his website. Or there's another image all the way down near the bottom of this webpage. Be sure to click on that image and you will get to Alan's webpage, and be sure to contact him and also add him to your LinkedIn connections, also Twitter and Facebook. Be sure to get Alan on your networks, because this guy is a wealth of information. One of the fastest learners I think Kathy and I have ever met, and I've been in the technology field for my entire career. And this guy takes something and chews it up, spits it out, and then he remembers it all. Phenomenal. But we greatly appreciate you coming on, Alan. I want to make sure I get that in. That people do visit your website and see what other things you have to offer, because you are multi-talented. It's not just LinkedIn that Alan brings to the table. That's just what intrigued Kathy and I the most. To talk about tonight's show. And I'm sure, Alan, in the future, we'll probably have you on a future show with a different topic, because your background is wide and varied, and you're a very intelligent individual, and we really enjoy having you on the show. We really appreciate that. But getting back to the topic at hand, LinkedIn. Let's go to a specific example. I know the marketers are chomping at the bit. How can we use this for business? I mean, what's one specific example that could help you to build a business, or to build your primary business? Maybe a generic example. What would be the steps that one would have to go through to increase, say, traffic to their website and potentially their bottom line?
Well, first of all, actually, let's step back a little bit, because one of the things that you have to do and really understand is your profile. Twitter uses a very simple, I come from an SEO background, so I look at the search capabilities of all the websites I deal with. LinkedIn uses a very simple search technology. It looks at the profile and it determines what keywords are in that to determine how you should be ranked for those keywords. So one of the things that is cool about it is people are searching for very specific business contacts on LinkedIn. Right. So if you want to get your product really out there, first you make the connections, but then second you optimize. You have to have your profile optimized for those people that are searching. For example, when out of the 50 million people on LinkedIn, I'm ranked number 13 or somewhere around like that for SEO, because I optimize my profile. Actually, I know a few tweaks that I can maybe get it into that top 5 range, but the cool thing is, by doing that, whenever somebody is looking for SEO work to be done, I'll be in that top group, the top group of people that they would go to trust for doing that work. So if you're a real estate professional, you could. One of my clients, actually, it's a very funny story. They do condo law, and that's all their little law firm does. But what I did was they have seven or 8 lawyers in their company, and what I did is I optimized all of their profiles. So whenever you search for condo law, condo lawyer, condominium law, everything
Right.
condo and law related. There, basically, it's just a list of all their names. So
Wow.
by doing that, yeah, it's really cool because they will get all the business that's related to that industry because they dominate it. And the same can be done with anyone's profile, which is really nice. And it's really, there's a lot of cool little tricks that you can do to achieve that. And that's why it's such a good business tool, because it's a focused search. It's not like Google, when they go to Google and they're just searching for a random product and they have some idea of what that is, but it's when they're on LinkedIn and they're doing a search, they're searching for somebody that's going to fill that task. They want an individual that is an expert on that, in that field. And if you're at the top of the search results, you must be the best for it. It's almost like LinkedIn is recommending you for the job.
Now let me.
And that's the best
Well,
recommendation.
I was going to say, let me ask you this. What if you were a musician? Okay? You were a musician and you wanted people to know that you're talented and you want to put yourself out there and let everybody know. How would you approach that on LinkedIn? You would put in your profile just like you would as if you had worked for an employer or you own a company?
Well,
What
actually,
would
if I
you
was a
suggest
musician-
there?
Yeah, if I was a musician, I'd do it a couple of different ways. What I do is optimize my profile for whatever instrument or whatever skill as a musician I have. But then I would use my status updates to include video or audio that shows my skill. So that's one great thing about the status updates. You can use them as a way of embedding video into your profile, embedding audio into your profile, and really showing your skills, which is really nice.
So that's
Wow.
perfect. This was the example, but you could do that with anything, with any kind of business.
The one I like best is, I have a bit of a background in real estate. I used to do a lot of real estate marketing. One of the coolest examples is a real estate listing. Just by, you could have your status update being homes for sale
Wow.
that are currently on the market. And, that's just such a powerful tool that,
Oh yeah.
anyone looking for a property would automatically see your listings.
So you can actually include video in your profile, the profile that stays with your page no matter what your status updates are. Is that what you're saying, video and audio?
Yeah, you can include files in your profile. You can include like PDF, anything. But what I'm saying is actually a little bit further than that, because what you're trying to do with the status updates is show that you're active
Right.
in that field.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what I was referring to. But you can actually put videos into your profile and files into your profile.
Now, is
Yeah,
that,
I'm
is
thinking
that
of actually putting all
the-
my ebooks there.
are you talking the actual video, the player and everything, or just a link to a video?
It'd be a link to a video.
Okay, that makes sense.
And you can actually, there's a place where you can actually upload files, and you can actually have the file be there that they can download.
So like
Wow.
you just said ebook, right? It could be an ebook, PDF file
Yeah,
to
PDFs.
okay.
PDFs, Word docs, images, whatever you like.
Does someone have to be connected with you in order to download something off of your profile? You know?
Good question.
Excuse me.
People can view your profile, but in order to find you through LinkedIn, they have to be connected to you at least by third level.
Okay.
So you're not
Oh, okay.
you're not even searchable. When you do a search on LinkedIn, you're only searching your first three levels of connections. So if you're not connected to people, you're not going to be found because you're not in the search. It's a little bit different than the other one. A little bit different than Twitter. Twitter, you search and you search all of Twitter, but with LinkedIn, you're only searching people that you know within the first three levels. So, if you're not connected, you're not going to be found.
Yeah, and my marketing hat was on, and I was thinking, let's say I want to build my connections on LinkedIn for what I do, particular niche. I'm not even going to say what I do, just in general. And I have written an ebook because, of course, I'm an expert on the topic. But I also have email lists, I have blogs, I have other means of communication. I have Twitter, I have Facebook. I could go on there and say, get a free ebook. All you have to do is connect with me on LinkedIn, and there it will be in my profile. If they don't connect, they don't get the ebook. So that's a little tip you could use for marketing. Again, be gentle about it, and remember there's a different etiquette on LinkedIn itself.
Excellent.
But you could do that, use that approach. And Kathy, I was thinking about the little project you and I had been working on for that very purpose as well. But
No, very good.
the wheels are just rolling here. This is phenomenal stuff.
That's a really good idea. What I did was actually I was building my Twitter following from LinkedIn. I was posting, follow me. I was going to LinkedIn groups about Twitter and then saying, hey, follow me.
Yeah.
There was actually a really cool LinkedIn group where.
And they do that.
Like
That's what
people.
they do.
Yeah, it's 1,000 people on this one LinkedIn group, and they're like, everybody on the group just posts their Twitter profile.
I just did that today.
And they say, follow me. And then they just all follow each other.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So funny.
I did that too. And they're genuine, and they're just, they're putting it out there, and they let you. The nice thing is, they say, I am involved with this group. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm asking you to follow me. So you know that there's a connection there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
So it's not just somebody popping in, and you don't know who the heck they are. Yeah, that's very powerful as well. But you could, well, I guess in all actuality, because we have our Twitter connection on our LinkedIn page, if anybody comes in and looks at the profile, they're going to know we're on Twitter. But for all of the people that are maybe not going into our profile, again, that's the importance of groups. By going in there, we can lead them in to look at our profile and not only join us in other social media, but connect with us on LinkedIn. I had that happen to me, where somebody connected with me, asked to be connected to me through a group that I made a comment on. So I thought that was great. That's another way to get first level connections.
I mean, in your profile, you can put links to Twitter. You can put links to as many sites as you want, which is really nice too. There's actually a cool little trick, and I'll share that with everybody here, about optimizing your Twitter link profile links. When you create, usually you get certain options. Is it your home website, a personal website? Those are the options. But there's actually an option for other, and that's the option you should pick when you create your links.
Really?
Because what you can do is then you can title it whatever you want. You can title it Twitter. You can title it, put in your keywords, which is really sweet.
So, are you allowed to put in HTML?
Those links are HTML links.
Okay, so you just type in the URL and it becomes a link? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's right.
So, okay, interesting. I'll have to get with you on that one a little later, on more specifics of the actual format of how you do that. I'm a techie, and most people that watch the show know that, and I go right into the details, and I'm not going to do that here. I'll do that with you later, Alan, but it's... Boy, oh boy, I've written more notes on this show than any other before, and the last one we had was phenomenal on Facebook. This is all incredible stuff. Social media.
Alan absolutely brings a lot to the table on LinkedIn, that's for sure.
There is no doubt. And if he does that with LinkedIn, I can only imagine what other talents this gentleman has that he can bring to the table.
Well, you know what? I have to tell you, I've spent a little bit of time with him on a couple of phone calls, and again, some of the stuff, Brian, you would just be going, oh my gosh, a couple things kind of made my eyes roll in the back of my head, and I said to Alan, Brian would know exactly what you're talking about. This is the kind of stuff that he does, but Alan has so much experience, and it is just amazing in a multitude of different internet, SEO, social media. I am just so thankful that he came to us and connected with us, and it wasn't even with LinkedIn. So, yeah.
Not originally, but we're connected now.
Yes,
But-
I know.
So
Yeah.
don't forget, click on his nose. I think it's that way. Yeah, that's the right way. Click
Or
right
down
on
here on
Alan's
his
nose,
leg,
or all the way
on
down
his
at the bottom.
banner.
I feel like we're the Partridge Family looking up, or Brady Bunch, or what is it? The one
Oh
Brady
yeah, where
Bunch.
you going? Yeah. Oh, it was the Brady Bunch. I could not
Yeah.
remember that the last time
That's
we were
what it
talking. Yeah.
reminds me too.
But yeah, this is phenomenal, Alan. This my goodness. You know, here's one. I got one. With Twitter, with Facebook, having used those now, mostly Twitter, what comes with that is usually an inordinate amount of my personal time to manage it, to update, to keep tweets going, to reply to people. So there's been a lot of software developed out on the market for Twitter. Some good, some bad, some horrible, some incredible. I use some myself for different business Twitter accounts, etc. Facebook, really not that I know of any software applications that help to automate to a certain extent the management of your account. LinkedIn, and we were talking about this a little earlier, Alan, so I already know the answer to this, but I wanted to pose it for the folks that are on the show. Is there anything like that to your knowledge, any kind of software to help people manage on a day-to-day basis? And other than, the fact that when you tweet, you can automatically set that to go to your LinkedIn status, which that's a great thing. But other than that, is there any way to help people to, better optimize their own personal time when using LinkedIn that you're aware of?
There's actually a few things that I've found, but there's not really many. LinkedIn, because of the way it's designed, they are really trying to make it controlled to avoid the spam.
Okay.
They really did make it difficult. But actually, I did find a cool little add-on for Firefox that allows you to, when you're going on the web, you can actually use it to connect to people.
Wow.
So like if you're visiting people's websites and you see an email address there, you can actually automatically add them to your LinkedIn connections, which is kind of a nice little add-on. But it's called LinkedIn Companion for Firefox. It's quite nice.
Okay.
I'm ready.
LinkedIn
Companion.
Companion for
LinkedIn
Firefox.
Companion. Yeah, that's a really nice one. It also lets you do a really cool thing. When you're sending out emails to people, it will show you the profiles of the people you're sending emails to. So you can actually,
Oh, nice.
like if you're emailing somebody that's just new to you, you can actually sort of check them out and see the resume before you email them
Wow.
using this add-on, Firefox. It's kind of a nice little add-on.
That's a nice feature.
And
Yeah.
most people should know this, but just in case you're brand new to internet, Firefox is a browser that's an alternate to Internet Explorer that comes with Windows, or Safari that comes with a Mac or an Apple. Are they even called Apple anymore? I don't have one, so I wouldn't know. But Firefox, you can get it's a separate browser that you can download. It's just a web browser like Internet Explorer or Safari. You can download it for free from Firefox.com. It's made by Mozilla. And it's an open source application that keeps growing. But they come up with these applications that are built into the browser, one of which Alan had just alluded to. And I've seen and used several others that are very good for like web development. I won't go into it, but if you don't have Firefox on your computer, I would recommend you download it, install it. It's free. Go to Google and look for LinkedIn Companion, and go to websites that show email addresses on a web page and give it a whirl. Do you just mouse over the email address? How does that work?
Yeah, basically what I'd recommend is actually don't necessarily do it that way.
Okay.
What I'd recommend is what I would do is copy email addresses into like a notepad or something like that, because using LinkedIn's method is better. Using LinkedIn's method of adding contacts is a much better way of doing it. It looks more official. It looks, it's more trusted.
Okay.
So what I recommend is taking a notepad and then copy all of the connections that you want to make in that notepad document, and then copying and pasting that into your LinkedIn connections, and then just using LinkedIn's program to make those connections.
But what you could do is use the you could use the plugin to, like you say, is to preview that person's profile before you even copy and paste that into a notepad. So you can use it for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's more for that, just to make sure that they're the right connection you want to make.
That's excellent advice, because if it does also request a connection, you knowing LinkedIn the way you do, say it looks more official, more professional to do it your way. Joe Blow wouldn't know how to do that if they just heard about LinkedIn Companion and went and tried to use it. So, see, these little nuggets of advice are so unbelievably powerful. I don't think most people understand.
And it's free.
Yeah.
We are 100% free 100% of the time.
Yeah, a little self-pitch of our own show. That was good. I like that. I thought you were talking about Firefox at first. Yeah, it's free. Uh-huh. Yeah,
Firefox is free too.
That's
yeah, it is as well.
That's great. Okay, but back to the software issue. You said you don't know of many, but you kind of told me in confidence, and no one's going to hold your feet to the fire, but you may be down the road looking into developing something, maybe, hint, hint, wink, wink. Hint,
hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
What's that?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm actually I'm working on a program that will do similar things to what you can do with Twitter, where you can build your following.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's using the thing is, actually, there's nothing out there for this, so I have to develop it myself. I'm not a software developer by any stretch of the imagination, so this is a little bit outside my realm, but I think I have some tools that I've used in the past for other things that I can sort of manipulate to make them work for LinkedIn.
Interesting.
So it's something that's coming out.
Alan, hey, Alan, it's just the three of us. Go ahead, tell him. I'm kidding.
Well, as we talked about earlier.
That's great. That'll be something that we will all be looking forward to.
Yes. Yeah, and we'll have to revisit that down the line. And what'd you say you'd have that done in a couple of weeks? We'll have you back on the show, and we all know software takes a long time to develop and to test and evaluate all that good stuff. But I can't believe it. We've already exhausted a full hour, Kathy. You believe that? Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
Feels like half an hour.
I tell you, I know. Well, you know how that is. We get on here, we start talking, we have entertaining, interesting guests. I'll tell you what, my tongue is like stuck to the roof of my mouth tonight. But it does. The time just flies by. It's like we get on, you're doing the 3, 2, 1 to get started, and then it's time to say thank you to everybody for coming and sharing our show with us. Alan, it has been an absolute pleasure. You are a treasure of information, and as Brian said earlier, we need to have you back to share some of the wealth of knowledge that you have.
Absolutely.
And as always, I just love sharing the stage with my friend and business partner, Brian. So to you two gentlemen, I say goodnight, and to everybody that joined us again this week. We've got another great show next week, so stay tuned. And Brian, I'm turning it over to you.
And I want to say I just as equally appreciate being on the stage with you, Kathleen, and you're much better looking than I am, so it gives a lot of viewers something pleasant to look at during this times when they have these ugly guys on. I really appreciate, though, seriously, love doing these shows. I'm loving it more and more as we go along. Alan, thank you once again so much for spending the time. People don't know that or realize there's a lot of effort and time behind getting this show prepared. Alan went through all the steps that we required and requested, and did it like a trooper and did it in a timely fashion, and we appreciate that, Alan, because everyone's time is important. And speaking of that, so are our viewers, and we are over our 1 hour allotment. We want to stay true to that as well. Alan, if you have any quick parting comments, we'd like to give you an opportunity to do that right now.
Okay, well, thanks for having me on the show. It's great always to share information with people. I just want to give 3 quick tips.
All right.
How about that? 3 quick tips
Sounds
about
good.
LinkedIn.
Yes.
Really do 3 things. Use your status updates, write recommendations, and comment on groups. One other quick tip, make a question on LinkedIn. Do a question, you'll get huge response. So do those 4 things and you'll do really well.
Excellent.
Oh, and I wanted to say something real quick too. Alan is actually coming to us tonight from Canada, so
Oh,
I
that's
wanted
right.
to let everybody know that. Yeah,
It's Toronto, right?
he's coming to us from
International.
Canada tonight.
Yes. Say everybody to the.
What was that?
Say hi to everybody up there in the Great White North. But yeah, appreciate it once again. We better get on out of here. To everyone watching, listening,
Yes.
we thank you as well for coming on to our show. It will be recorded and available as always in on our website. And we bid you all good night. We'll see you next week. Bye bye now.
All right. Good night. Bye bye.
Bye.